Let's start off by navigating to GitHub and logging in. I'm going to go ahead and sign in here with a user called Peter Parker Data. Let me go ahead and type that in. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter here the password. And once I do, I'm going to go ahead and create a new repository. This is a clean account, so this is going to be the first repository. I'm going to go ahead and call it hello. Call it here hello repo. I'm going to make it public. I'm going to add a README. I'm going to go ahead and add a git ignore. In this case, I'll enter node. We will use that a few times. I'm going to go ahead and choose a license. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and enter the MIT license. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the repository. As you can see there, this is a clean, new repository that has just been created. Next, we're going to install Git, and we'll do a Google search for it, Git install. I'm going to go ahead and select here the first link. Then I'm going to download for Windows. I'm going to go ahead and select here the very first option. And as you can see there, that is downloading. Now that that has completed, I have copied the installer here to the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. I'm going to give it permissions to run. Then I'm going to go ahead and go through the options. I will select the defaults without making any changes. And there's a lot of options, but if you just simply select the defaults, it'll do the right thing. So let's go ahead and let that run. And as you can see there, that has completed. In this case, we're going to select launch the Git Bash because there's a couple of extra settings that we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead here and click on finish. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize my browser. Now, as you can see here, the font is very small. And as you can see there, I have made it bigger. Now, there are a couple of options that we need to set into the Git environment, and that is the username and then the email for that user. So I'm going to go ahead here and enter the very first one. And that is, as you can see there, git config global user.name. And you can see there that I have set Peter Parker Data, which is the username for the user I just showed you in GitHub. Now, the second option starts off the same way, git config -- global. Then in this case is user.email and then the email for this user. So as you can see there, that has gone through. Now I can go ahead and minimize my window. And now we're going to go ahead and open up Visual Studio. And once that comes up, we're going to select the option here to clone a repository. And as you can see there, I'm asked if I want to clone it from GitHub, and that is precisely what we want to do. And it's asking me permissions to be able to sign in, and I'm going to give it there the option to allow. Notice that it opened the browser back up, and it is asking me to authorize access. I will go ahead and click on continue. And it is asking me if I want to loop this back in. As you can see there, it is giving me that option. Otherwise, you can copy and paste this to Visual Studio's command line. I'm going to go ahead and enter this, or command prompt, I should say, palette. And I'm going to go ahead and select here, open Visual Studio Code. I'm being prompted again to confirm that I want to allow this extension. I'm going to go ahead and say open. And as you can see there, that has gone through. I now get the option to be able to open up that repo that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I'm being asked now where I want to put it. For the purposes of this, I'm going to go ahead and select simply here the desktop. And so I'm going to select repository location. Would you like to open this? And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And as you can see there, now we have that open. The folder is on the desktop. You can see here that I have the files that we created, the README and the license. Git ignore we'll come back to later. And so at this point, I'm simply going to go ahead and add one more file and go ahead and call the file index.html. Inside of it, I will simply write hello world. And I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Oops, and I did not want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and open it one more time. We should be still in the same place. I'm going to go ahead and trust it. I'm going to go ahead and close here. And you can see there that I have the file. Once again, if I move to the source control section, you can see there that one change is now being tracked, which is this new file. So I'm going to go ahead and enter here my message for my first commit, which will be simply first commit. Once I click it, it is asking me if I want to stage all my changes. I'll say yes. And now I'm going to go ahead and push this back up to GitHub. And as you can see there, that is running through, being asked to sign in with the browser or sign in with a code. I'm going to go ahead and select here the browser. And so you can see there that my browser is asking me to authorize. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And you can see there that the authentication succeeded. And if we navigate back to our original repository that was created 8 minutes ago, and I reload the page, you'll be able to see there that 41 seconds ago, I created index, and that if we go into it, we will see hello world. So you can see there, that's the full loop. We started in GitHub. We added the runtime of Git onto our machine. We then set up some configurations. We went into Visual Studio. We made the connection back into GitHub. We added some new content, and then we were able to see it through the browser on the cloud. So now it is your turn.